Okay, so I want to go look at some website stuff. So we're going to spend a minute playing with HTML. So I encourage all of you to open up a web browser. And I would like you to go to whatif.xkcd.com. XKCD. So it's what-if.xkcd.com. And then put /5 in the address bar up there. Which should be this thing about the robot apocalypse.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so XKCD is a website by a guy named Walter Monroe, I think. He's a kind of a science dork sort of dude. He writes this really fun little webcomic, but in the what if area, he answers ridiculous questions using actual scientific analysis. So, for instance, this question is, what if there was a robot apocalypse? How long would humanity last? And then he spends a bunch of time talking about like the robots that exist today. And this is a few years old, so there are a couple more robots, but not tons more. So, like, what would happen if there was a robot uprising, right? Basically, the robots that existed 2 or 3 years ago when this was written out were essentially Roombas were kind of new, so not super common. But also, what's a Roomba going to do to you? Right? Like, suppose your Roomba becomes self-aware and wants to murder you. How big a chance does it have?
I did see a video where two people took two Roombas, taped them to the front of it and the blue on the back of it, and said they just had them go at it. So you never know.
I suspect that if my robot vacuum came after me, I would go stand on the carpet. And it would probably stall itself trying to get on the carpet. Alternatively, if you climb on the couch, you're totally safe. And then you could jump on it.
Unless it's clever and knows how to make a fire.
Yeah, probably its best bet would be to take its charging station and short it. Right? And try to set itself on fire and hope to burn down the building. So he kind of goes through a little bit of that here, right? Like, so one of the things I noticed in this is there's this chunk of math. You guys see that? Do you guys remember the program we played with at the beginning of the semester that we used to kind of generate math stuff like this? Do you remember what that was called? Yeah, LaTeX generates math like this. So I'm kind of interested in that piece of math, right? So I want to know where he's getting that from, right? So if you want to know how a website is kind of structured, if you right-click on it, you can go down here to this View Page Source thing, or Inspect. I'm going to go View Page Source first, and then we'll look at Inspect in a second.
Whoa.
So if you hit View Page Source, you get this whole, whoa, like all sorts of crap, right? You guys see this whole thing? Okay, so let me like look for bits that I recognize. So up here at the top, it's saying something about HTML. What's HTML? Cool, close. That would be hypertext markup language, I think.
So close.
Basically, this is the protocol by which your computer talks to other computers and makes websites, right? So computers obviously don't spend a lot of time like browsing the web on their own, right? That's a service that kind of gets provided for their human users, right? So what we end up doing is we need a way to standardize like what is the information that that server has and how should it be displayed? You guys see that? So HTML is basically this is the stuff that this server has on it, and here's how you should look at it. Then the web browser interprets the HTML and makes the page, right? So this is a little bit like a code in a compiler, right? So like this would be the code. And then once it's compiled, it looks like this. You guys kind of cool with that analogy? That's a little bit of an analogy, but that's basically it. Okay, so in here, you'll note there's this HTML tag. And then inside of it, there's a head tag. You guys see a head tag someplace else?
36.
Yeah, down on line 36, there's a slash head tag. You guys see that? That's an end head tag, right? So this is the stuff that we're calling a head, whatever the heck HTML does with a head. Like, I have no idea. But that's like the head part of the code. And then in here, you'll notice there's all these like, there's a thing called title, right? And then it has the information Robot Apocalypse inside of it. And then there's an ending for the title. Right, so that's telling your browser, yo, dude, this is the title chunk, and it's part of the head chunk. You guys see that? And then there's a bunch of other stuff about, like, what the character set is. What the heck is that doing? Yeah, that's like, yo, dude, the characters that I'm going to use following are UTF-8 encoded. Whatever the heck UTF-8 encoded means, right?
Like a library.
Yeah, basically it's a library of characters. And then here we've got some links, and these links have, they have like rels, whatever rels are, and types, whatever types are, and hrefs, whatever hrefs are. And then that thing ends. You see that? What do you suppose that object does? Like, what is it called? It's called a link, right? What does it probably do? Probably it creates a link of some kind, right? Or links this to something. I don't actually know which one it does right now, and to be honest, I'm not really that worried about it. I at least know that it's something about a link. Oh, and it says that that one at least is something about a style sheet. You see that? What's a style sheet, probably? It's telling your browser where to go to see the style that this website should be displayed in. That's going to do stuff like adjust the margins, kind of fiddle with fonting. You guys cool with that? Okay, and then the thing I really wanted to see was down in here. You guys see this one with the script in it? It's this whole thing about script. You guys see why I'm interested in that thing? Yeah, it has the word math in it. And then if you look in there, those look like LaTeX things. You guys see that? So I'm wondering, like, wait. Let me just go Google this quick. Website LaTeX, right? How can I use... Let's see, Pandoc, LaTeX to HTML, PlasTeX. Oh, it seems like things that kind of end with text might be used for LaTeX type things. You guys go back here, you see this thing? Oh, there's a text thing. See that? That's talking about a JAX. Oh, crap. I bet MathJax is a way to do LaTeX on websites. You guys see that? And then if you look in there a little bit, you'll see that, okay, there's a MathJax. There's a text-to-JAX thing. Okay, yeah. So this is where that math is coming from, at least, partially. That's telling it, yo, dude, this is how this website does funny math code, right? Like, it uses whatever this stuff is, and we could maybe go investigate this. How would you go investigate that chunk of code? Yeah. So just be like, let me Google MathJax. Oh, beautiful math in browsers. Seems like that's probably what that thing's doing. Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of crazy stuff in there. Don't worry. All of these are a rabbit hole that you could fall down forever.
You're telling us not to worry?
Yeah, I'm telling you not to worry about it. Don't look too closely at any of this. This talk is not extremely deep. Let's see. So if I'm looking for another spot where that MathJax stuff appears, I might just go like this, right? Search for the word math. Oh, look at that. That's got mathy stuff in it.
Oh, there's our trillion. So that must be where this happened.
Yeah. So look here. This frac, right? That's a LaTeX command. So this little chunk here. Oh, look, it's in these funny little brackets. Did you guys see square brackets up there in that MathJax chunk? Go up here in the MathJax. You see those square brackets someplace? Yeah, there's slash square brackets are in this display math chunk here. You guys see that? So that's where that math is coming from. It's coming from this little line. You guys cool with that? What do the little P's do? So if you look at what the P's are, right? There's like, okay, here's an ending P. There's a beginning P, right? So I've got the cars currently on the road would be more dangerous, but mainly to their occupants. That's talking about if the robots rebelled, they'd take over your car, right? You don't have a self-driving car, so like the worst they could do is like slam the accelerator.
Or disable the brakes.
Or disable the brakes.
What if you have like a 2010 newer car?
Yeah, certainly this isn't going to work on your 85 Silverado, right? But it might work on your 2014 Mazda, right? That probably has a computer-controlled throttle and brake system. So I want to look for that statement. I think it should be right above this math chunk. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the car is currently on the road, right? So the thing of... What is this thing? Huh. That's probably what P stands for, right? Okay, so P's are paragraphs. What about this? A href equals... Oh, that thing's weird, right? Okay, so if I'm looking at one of these A's, there's this whole thing that seems to start something. Where's the end of that? Yeah, there's a slash A right here that's ending that thing. So it starts here. It says a few million passengers and ends, right? So if I go look in the robot apocalypse thing, do I see a thing about, oh, there's the thing about a few million passengers. Okay, see that? What's that then? It's a link, right? Where does it go? It goes to something that's sadly not found.
Yeah, this is why I never click on the links on websites.
But it's got a nice, like, this is where it goes, and if I go look in the source code, that's the thing that's right here in that beginning A. So what's A? That's how you make a link in HTML, right? It's what's called an anchor. You guys cool with that? So we're anchoring the words a few million passengers, and we're making it so that there's a reference. That's what href is. That's a reference to this website. So that's like, yo, dude, the words a few million passengers refer to this website that unfortunately is a dead link. You guys cool with that? Okay. All right, let's see. What else did I want on HTML stuff? Oh, yeah. So, should be noted down here. See this thing? I don't know if you guys can read that. What is that thing?
Brackets.
Yeah, it's like a crap ton of brackets, but yeah, I mean they've got to be calling functions, right? Like jQuery.noConflict parentheses and a semicolon. That feels like processing code, doesn't it? Yeah, so that's jQuery is an object, and we're calling the noConflict method of the jQuery object, right? So if you look at this thing up in here, right, there's like ajax.google blah 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 .js.
Oh.
That's a JavaScript script. Right? So the reason it looks a little bit like processing is because it's a lot like processing, because processing's Java and JavaScript is Java. Right? So even though you don't exactly know how JavaScript works, like I know what this is doing. Right? It's calling the noConflict function on the jQuery object. And then this thing is no idea what that whole mess is, right? But it's calling some functions. It's doing something with the jQuery object a bunch of times. You guys see that? Okay, so one thing I wanted to do was, let me see if I can find this thing. Okay, so here's a different chunk of code, right? This is still in a script. So if you look at this, this is pretty clearly some kind of chunk of JavaScript, right? Do I have any idea what it's really doing? Probably not. Like, it's calling some function with a whole bunch of arguments. It's really kind of a mess, right? Because it's not really well indented or anything, and I don't really know what's up with it. So maybe I just, like, follow this link somewhere. Oh, look.
It's the same thing but indented, so that was probably just put to save resource space.
Yeah, so presumably it's not quite the same thing. This guy has a whole bunch of arguments that are fed in here, and this guy doesn't have those arguments in the function, right? But this is presumably the code behind that thing, and it's just JavaScript, right? So you can like look down it and be like, okay, so there's a replace script that's a function, and it takes a couple of things, right? And then that function works in this way. You know, we could go down here. We could be like, okay, so there's some stuff about creating elements. There's something about a source. There's some comments that are kind of vaguely things. Oh, what's this guy? Yeah, that's a loop, right? It's a while loop. What's this dude? It's an if statement, right? So it's if the script ID isn't null, then do this stuff. Do I know exactly what that means? No. Don't know, like, I don't know a ton of JavaScript, right? But I can definitely believe that this part, console.warn, right, probably kicks out a warning in wherever this console is. You guys with me on that? So I'm not totally getting exactly what's going on here, but I also don't know a lot of JavaScript, right? Like my understanding of JavaScript is basically based on, well, it looks like processing, so I'm just kind of using my processing skills to analyze it. Is cool with that?